Top 10 Dark and Sadistic Variants of Harley Quinn Explored. Harley Quinn, the Queen of Crime, has ruled over Gotham and the hearts of fans across the world ever since she debuted on Batman the Animated Series 3 decades ago. We know this badass beauty to be crazy, fun, psychopathic, and for her tumultuous relationship with DC's arguably scariest villain, the Joker. As much as we love Harley and all the ways she's been portrayed in pop culture over the last 30 years, due to the complicated nature of her origin and ties to the Joker, she's been interpreted in various different ways across iterations. Did you think that Quinn couldn't get any darker? Well, you thought wrong. Here are the top 10 darkest versions of Harley Quinn. Stick around until the end of the video to find out our top pick as we go for a countdown to bring you the very best of the Damsel of Doom. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Now let's begin. 10. Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Harleen Quinzel. Starting from a scary version, albeit not the scariest as it's number 10, we have Harley Quinn from Batman vs. TMNT. In this version of the iconic Harley Quinn, Dr. Harleen Quinzel, often known just as Harley Quinn in this series, is a Gotham City criminal and an adversary of Batman. She frequently collaborates with the Joker, with whom she's romantically involved. All of this seems quite similar to the Harley we know and love, right? Well, the grim parts are yet to come. In the series, Quinzel was detained in Arkham Asylum at some point before the events of Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles began. She was there when Ra's al Ghul and Shredder went by the facility, and she naughtily summoned Shredder to her prison cell simply so that she could check out her makeup in the metal mask's reflection. So the writers clearly retained her personality quite well in the series. Here's where the trouble starts. Quinzel was promptly set free by the Joker once he was let out of his own high-security cell and given the task of putting a mutagen in the sprinkler system at Arkham as part of one of the Joker's evil schemes. She agreed, but not before he addressed her as a doctor rather than a nurse. Harley might be his henchwoman, but she was a psychiatrist in her own right. When Batman and the Ninja Turtles arrived, she transformed into a hyena and barked greetings at them. What? Harley is an evil hyena with drool dripping out of her mouth lined with razor-sharp teeth? Knowing her personality, Harley as an actual hyena is bound to be deadly. This version is widely considered to be a fun play on the dangerous pets Harley had, the hyenas Bud and Lou. 9. Harleen. Harleen is a comic novel by Stjepan Šejić and is a modern retelling of Harley Quinn's original origin story. However, this one's way darker and grittier. Iterations of Harley Quinn have been numerous, nearly as many as her utterly twisted opposite, the Joker. Stjepan Šejić gives the mallet-wielding, bubbly, crazy character new goals and ideas, which all but guarantee that she'll end up in the arms of Gotham's most feared. In the first few pages, we see the crowd fidgeting while Dr. Harleen Quinzel delivers a scientific lecture, clearly frustrated. Quinzel is certain that psychopathy may be found, identified, and then treated. Not in the broader sense of the word, but more in the way that criminals from Gotham's underworld might become psychopathic by lacking mental empathy. She's tasked with interrogating prisoners from Arkham Asylum and Blackgate Penitentiary, and it's there that she first encounters the Joker. Harleen leads us down a path of emotional manipulation, sadness, poor self-worth, mental health issues, addiction issues, and low self-esteem that could trap even the healthiest of us in a very toxic relationship. She has first-hand knowledge that the Joker is a murderer. She's aware that it's a horrible concept, yet we see how quickly passion may develop from a lousy idea. It's unsettlingly simple to fall in love with the wrong person. Additionally, it's often very simple for us to inform our friends that their relationship is unhealthy in the actual world. We can observe the warning signs that they have chosen to ignore from the outside. However, Harleen makes you want to ignore all of them as well. We see a broken-down Harley emerge at the end, a shell of the renowned psychiatrist she once was. It's pretty disturbing to read. In Harleen, this iconic and well-known character is examined in terrible detail, beginning with her birth and ending with her tragic fall. In this introduction to the DC visual universe, Šejić's graphic novel stands on its own 2 feet in a world currently ruled by Margot Robbie's crazy chick Harley Quinn. Not only is this portrayal a fresh take, but it's also one of the darkest takes on Harley in recent years, bringing Harleen in at number 9 on our list. 8. Bizarro Harley. Do you remember Bizarro? That weird mirror image of Superman who only spoke in opposites? Well, Bizarro, often referred to as Bizarro Superman, is the exact opposite replica of Superman that was made when the Joker possessed Mr. Mixie-Spitlick's reality-altering abilities. And in Harley Quinn issue 19, Bizarro wanted a bride. However, it couldn't just be any bride. Bizarro was enamored by none other than Harley Quinn and wanted his very own Bizarro Harley bride. Harley was not happy to know that she was going to be mirrored and said that they threw away the mold after they made her, so there could only be one Harley. However, Dr. Chance didn't listen to her threats or protests and continued with his experiment only for a Bizarro Harley to pop out. Bizarro Harley was a darker version of the bubbly psychotic villain we know and love. Her clothes were darker with muted shades of black and red, and her entire persona and demeanor screamed dangerous. She popped out of the cloning chamber and immediately started ordering Bizarro around. Poor Bizarro, who had been extremely excited to finally be with someone who was like him, he shrank into the background and wanted to run away while Bizarro Harley inundated him with orders. Bizarro flees, leaving Bizarro Harley heartbroken and angry, but before she can cause any damage, she's dealt with by Harley Quinn herself. Harley makes her say positive things instead of her usual Bizarro way of saying things, which leads to Bizarro Harley self-combusting and dying just as quickly as she was created. In the few panels she did appear in, she was scary enough to warrant a mention on our list. 7. Hayley Fitzpatrick, a member of the Laugh Pack. Coming to number 7, we have Hayley Fitzpatrick from the Laugh Pack. Now for a little backstory. Hayley Fitzpatrick was conceived and raised in Gotham City's Newtown neighborhood. She was the youngest of 4 siblings and was born to a corporate consultant and an accountant. Quite the regular mundane life, nothing like Harley Quinn and her rocky childhood. However, there was some trouble as she tried her best as a child to blend in with her extremely devout WASP family members. But she felt that she wasn't quite suited for that way of life. With the exception of a brief affair with a girl at an out-of-state cheer squad tournament, Hayley never gave in to those cravings. Hayley was certain after just one encounter that she liked girls, but she decided to hide this trait until she was in college. She made the decision to seize the chance to uncover that buried aspect of herself at university. She at first hesitated, pulling herself back out of anxiety about doing anything that would permanently stamp her with a label that her family wouldn't find positive. But Hayley's anxiety persisted as a result of her hesitation. She made the decision to put makeup on her face and attend a Halloween party in downtown Gotham as a seductive clown. For 2 months she'd been feeling unrecognizable as the person who was scowling back at her in the mirror. Hayley met another attractive clown at the party, and the two started talking about their costumes. Hayley and her new companion, a political intern called Bianca, were contemplating leaving the party after engaging in some intense flirtation and moderate underage drinking. The two made the decision to avoid Hayley's dorm because of a bothersome roommate and go to Bianca's apartment in Park Row. The earth began to tremor as the two were crossing the North Finger Bridge, and Bianca's automobile came to a halt due to nearby building rubble. The two exited the vehicle and started walking toward the north, but they were quickly ganged up on, as mass panic that erupted in the city and the general fear amongst Gotham residents escalated to violence. To several motorcyclists, the two young women running together appeared to be easy pickings, but as the girls were trapped, help arrived from an unexpected place, the Laugh Pack. Because of their terror and the guarantee of protection in the turmoil of Gotham, the girls first bought into the killer clown's deception that they were members of their own gang. The two girls had soon forsaken their previous lives after spending several months in the clown camp. They had managed to stay alive by working as Giggle Gang support personnel for the Laugh Pack. While Hayley started repairing equipment and cars and became quite the technician, Bianca managed logistics. All of the Giggles were drafted into service during the conflict with the new Red Hood Gang. Hayley modeled her new appearance after Harley Quinn, but with a high-tech twist. She'd been referred to as Yo-Yo ever since the Joker witnessed her practicing her favorite pastime, yo-yo tricks, and she made the most of it by constructing her personality around that as well, eventually stealing some cutting-edge equipment to create her own distinctive lethal weapon. Thus, while Hayley Fitzpatrick isn't exactly Harley Quinn, she is based on the iconic villain and wields a deadly yo-yo. Gotta give her some scare points for that. 6. Flashpoint Harley. The DC universe is essentially unrecognizable in the parallel Flashpoint timeline, and figures like Harley Quinn have strange equivalents. The Flashpoint timeline was created when Barry Allen changed history and made a new timeline after traveling across time to save his mother from Eobard Thawne, aka the Reverse Flash. His actions had a far-reaching impact, creating a DC universe that featured Thomas Wayne as Batman rather than his son Bruce. Thomas's wife went wild and turned into the Joker in the Flashpoint reality when their son was slain in his place. Yo-Yo, whom the alternate Batman is shown chasing in Flashpoint, represents an incarnation of Harley Quinn, who the alternate Batman comes across in his adventures. Yo-Yo and Harley appear to have certain things in common, despite the fact that Martha Wayne's motivations for existing are different from those of the original Joker. In the past, Joker has mentally tortured Harley to persuade her to stand by his side. He created both a henchwoman and a romantic interest while he was destroying her perception of reality. Yo-Yo, Harley's doppelganger in this very altered universe, still works for the Joker and shares his pessimistic outlook as she imitates Martha. This seems to imply that Harley's turn into a villain was predetermined and not just the result of a series of unfortunate incidents. Despite significant differences in the narrative between Flashpoint and the origins written for Harley in the one-shot Batman Adventures Mad Love, Harley was always intended to be the zany antagonist that fans have come to know and love. Harley is just as much of a constant as the presence of a Batman. Harley's inherent nature of seeking someone to obey is seen in her decision to don a new name and outfit while remaining devoted to another iteration of the Joker. While some accounts of her upbringing paint her as deranged, others suggest an underlying darkness that has always existed. Flashpoint demonstrates that Harley only needed a flame to light the fuse, in contrast to the Joker of the DC Universe as it's known, who takes joy in proclaiming that he was the one who created Harley Quinn from Harleen Quinzel. This is what makes Flashpoint Harley so dark. She enjoys being who she is. 5. DCEU Harley. Number 5 is the Harley we see in the movies, played fabulously by Margot Robbie. Before the Joker turned Harleen Frances Quinzel into Harley Quinn, she was allegedly a highly brilliant, composed, and sympathetic young woman who worked at Arkham Asylum despite having experienced trauma as a kid. But in reality, she was already displaying evil inclinations before she met Joker. Her troubling behavior as a youngster could still be explained by the way her father and the nuns treated her, but it wasn't until college that her sinister side truly started to show. Her plan was to have her boyfriend kill for her and lose his life during the process in order to test the depth of his love for her. She became a homicidal, sadistic, childlike and somewhat psychopathic villain through shock therapy and the Joker's exploitation, barely resembling the woman she once was. She did this by using her sexuality and her whimsical personality to further her objectives or to amuse herself, usually at the expense of other people. Prior to their final separation, she referred to the Joker with endearing terms like puddin' and blindly complied with all he asked of her. Harley exudes an almost childlike attitude. She is bright and wild-eyed and finds amusement in grim circumstances. She maniacally started laughing to herself in a nasty way after striking Belle Rev's guards and gravely hurting a couple before eventually being restrained, demonstrating how shattered her mentality had become. However, a very depressed, damaged and melancholy lady with low self-esteem who was dependent on the Joker was hiding behind the smiles, making it evident that despite her claims to the contrary, she's more emotionally injured than truly joyful. Harley was able to quickly analyze the psychological profiles of her teammates, knowing just what to say to irritate them, despite her apparent erratic temperament. Harley is still quite brilliant, even displaying indications of her psychology knowledge. Harley Quinn was at first so unbearably heartbroken after her separation from the Joker that she constantly cried and overindulged as a way to cope. I mean, haven't we all? She also adopted and domesticated a hyena, a sign of her pathological bravery. She was made to fend for herself after being set free. She was haunted by the ghosts of people who told her she couldn't thrive on her own, but she silenced them so she could forge her own path. All of this is what makes this version of Harley dark, yet one that's looking through the tunnel to a brighter future. 4. Marion Drews. Marion Drews is a fake Harley Quinn, or rather, the second Harley Quinn, and was the main villain in Batman White Knight. The way in which she became the second Harley Quinn is quite interesting to say the least. Before she encountered the Joker, Marion Drews was a bank teller who struggled with emotional instability. Harley Quinn, who was shocked and terrified by the Joker's suspected murder of Jason Todd aka Robin, had just left him. However, Joker, in his madness and vanity, didn't even notice that Harley had left him for good and went on to rob the bank that Marion worked at when she was slashing her arm in her booth after recently being abandoned by her lover. Joker began referring to Marion as Harley after he recruited her to assist him in robbing the bank vault. Marion then began to join in by impersonating Harley Quinn and calling him Puddin' and Mr. J. Granted, Marion was physically quite similar to Harley, being pale, tall, slender and having blonde hair, but this is just straight up crazy if you ask me. After they robbed the bank, Marion anticipated that Joker would attack or torture her when they got back to his lair, but he just tended to her arm wounds. As a result, Marion experienced Stockholm Syndrome and fell in love with Joker. Drews was confused when the Joker proposed to her years later after his insanity had been treated, because she believed that he would never act in such a way. The real Harley, who had also been cured by that time, then showed up and punched Drews to the ground, pretty much saving the day. Disgruntled, Drews altered her appearance and assumed the role of the Joker, using the identity of the Neo-Joker, filling in for him until the genuine Joker showed up. She believed that the Joker's ego would be bruised and he would turn back to the dark side if she went on a large-scale big crime spree, and hence that's exactly what she did. It's obvious that the second Harley Quinn was significantly significantly more aggressive, dark and mentally unstable than the first, putting her at number 4 on our list. 3. Harley Sinn. Remember when Harley was recruiting for a gang of Harleys? Well, Harley Sinn, otherwise known as Constance Brandt, applied to be part of her gang, but was rejected and then turned into an enemy of the Queen of Crime. Constance had a rough childhood. Being born to a real estate mogul, she was almost always put in the care of butlers and nannies as her parents went out and lived their best life. Having a child had never been in their plan, and they always made a point to never take care of her themselves. She acted out in school and had no friends. She also burned down her school, killing 2 people, showing that she had darkness within her from an early age. She was then sent to a private island for rehabilitation, but things didn't get better. However, she meets a girl called Gina, her soon-to-be stepsister, and they become both best friends and then lovers. They try to clean up their acts, but while Constance gets a job, Gina overdoses. This brings Constance to the lowest point in her life as she kills Gina's mother and flees. When everything seems hopeless, Constance finds an article about Harley Quinn in the newspaper and begins to mold her life after Harley. When Harley posts a call for people to join her gang of Harleys, Constance tries out, which makes everything better. But after receiving a sneak attack in the dark and failing to join the group, she makes the decision to take out Harley and her gang. She changes her name to Harley Sinn, renames her old private island the Island of Horrible Death, and hires a private army of mercenaries and assassins she refers to as the Syndicate. Get it? Harley Sinn kidnaps Harley Quinn and brings her to their hideout in Red Hook with the use of her syndicate. The gang of Harleys is then killed by her best assassins as she compels Harley to watch the massacre of her carefully selected gang. The assassins demand payment after believing the gang is dead, but she kills them instead. She then transports Harley Quinn to her Island of Horrible Death while she's unconscious. She gathers her soldiers there as she waits for Harley to flee. Naturally, Harley overcomes them with the assistance of the gang, who manage to avoid being destroyed, and confronts Sinn. Harley offers Sinn a deal. If she prevails in an unarmed fight, she will become the leader of the gang of Harleys. Sinn could join the gang after receiving mental health treatment if Harley triumphs. Sinn agrees, but when it appears she's being beaten, she cheats and draws a knife. However, in the end, she's put to sleep by Harley's chokehold. Sinn is told by her father that he'll help her when she awakens in a hospital. However, she's diverted to Arkham Asylum a week later while being transported from the hospital to a rehab facility. Her father didn't keep his promise. What was worse than her father betraying her? The Joker developed a fascination with her, and at his behest, she carried out many gruesome crimes. Thus, this version is a deranged, angered fan who came extremely close to besting Harley herself. 2. Harley is seen in Batman Damned, disguised as Joker. Batman Damned is a gothic supernatural horror tale that takes place in a grimmer, darker version of the DC Universe's Gotham City. Bruce Wayne, as we know, was a young boy when his parents, Thomas and Martha, were killed. This gave him the motivation to don a mask and fight crime as Batman. Apart from being tormented by the evil witch, the Enchantress, who visits him as a child and continues to communicate with him even when he becomes an adult, and other supernatural elements, Batman, as he appears in Damned, is comparable to his canon DCU counterpart. However, the Harley in this storyline is someone you wouldn't recognize at first glance. Batman and the Joker collide on the Gotham Gate Bridge while fighting. While Batman is only knocked out during the fight and wakes up in an ambulance, the Joker appears to have passed away. Well, when the Clown Prince of Crime dies and leaves behind his queen who is devoted to him, things are bound to get ugly. Following the death of the Joker, Harley Quinn desecrated the Bat Signal and various other structures while sporting his purple jacket and iconic face paint. She attempted to sexually assault Batman and drugged him when he arrived to halt her insanity. Despite the drug's paralyzing effects, he was able to choke her. Maybe it was Joker's death that really sent her over the edge, but you've probably never seen a Harley as maniacal as this one. She's more damaged than we have ever seen before, and also physically covered in scars and injury marks, implying that she's undergone severe physical torture in this plotline that has presumably added to her psychotic nature. Due to the horrifying acts she becomes, Harley from Batman Damned is an easy number 2 on our list of the darkest versions of Harley Quinn. Number 1. Harley Quinn from Justice League Gods and Monsters. Our number 1 pick for the darkest and most sadistic version of Harley Quinn goes to the Maiden of Madness as portrayed in Justice League Gods and Monsters. DC Comics Justice League characters are given dark twists in the 2015 animated superhero web series Justice League Gods and Monsters Chronicles. The Gods and Monsters parallel reality is the setting for this web series. It's here that in the very first episode, we come across the most horrifying iteration of Harley. At the very beginning of the episode, Batman uses the retractable wings on his suit to fly to a derelict warehouse to meet and stop Harlequin, a psychotic serial killer who kidnaps victims, murders them, and then dismembers or taxidermizes the bodies, giving them the eeriest grins. When he walks in, he sees bloody sinks and a freezer filled with frozen bodies, heads, and limbs. He discovers a number of crates, artifacts with a clown theme, and big jack-in-the-boxes in the basement, one of which contains the top half of one of Harley's victims. When he locates and releases her most recent prisoner from the third box, Harley bursts in and, furious that Batman had denied her a victim, confronts him with a heavy sledgehammer. She drives him back as he attempts to leap on her from the ceiling by swatting him through the air. After being stripped of her mallet, Harley engages Batman in a fierce battle with a chainsaw, which she mistakenly smashes when cutting at him, while also destroying parts of a decaying human taxidermy. After being wounded in the stomach when her chainsaw is damaged, Harley gives up and lets Batman take her to jail. Batman, who is later revealed to have retractable fangs and a vampiric attitude, bites her neck and swallows her blood instead of turning her over to the authorities. Interestingly, Bruce Timm claims that Harlequin's resemblance to Harley Quinn was intentional because he wanted to sort of get back at the New 52 for changing Harley Quinn's appearance and having her slain by Batman. As far as why Harlequin is number one, the reason is quite simple. We practically see how she has set up her perfect family in a room, complete with corpses, their faces stretched into unnatural, unnerving smiles, going to show simply how deranged this version of the Queen of Crime was. Harley, as we know her, wouldn't kill without good reason and would definitely not become a butcher-esque serial killer. So this portrayal was intensely dark and deserved the top spot. Believe it or not, these are just 10 of the many psychotic and dark versions of Harley Quinn that DC has to offer. However, these ones are definitely the most unsettling out of all of them. Harley Quinn is not only a popular character, but she's also a well-written one, and that's why writers keep coming up with new and innovative ways to add spice to her character and keep the madness alive. Which version of Harley Quinn did you find to be the darkest? Let us know in the comments section below. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
What?